Okay, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. So let everybody know this meeting will be live streamed and recorded public viewing on the town's YouTube page. Item number 2 on the agenda tonight, if anybody has a pecuniary interest, they can declare it now or at the appropriate time during the meeting. Item number 3, adoption of the meeting minutes. 3.1, the minutes be adopted by the Fire Exec Committee and that those confidential minutes in the closed session committee remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. And we have the Fire Exec Committee meeting minutes of March the 3rd, 2025, and we have the closed Fire Exec meeting minutes of March the 3rd, 2025. And Fire Exec Committee meeting Article 3, that was, where are we here? That was moved by Christian, second by Gary Atkinson. So any comments, any corrections, dates on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of this minute? Great, thank you. Okay, item number 4 on the agenda tonight, business arising with the previous minutes. 4.1 there, recruitment update. Chief,
Sure, I can give you a brief verbal update. So we started our recruitment in March and we only required firefighters at the Wyoming station. Recruitment closed in on April 2nd. We've been compiling quite a list. Anyways, we're through the process right now, in the process right now. So we actually have a couple of that we have hired so far.
Two. And how many are we shooting for?
Up to 4.
In each station?
Just Wyoming.
Just Wyoming.
This round, and Kimlaki was flush.
Got a full house up there, Chief. Wow. Hired 2 and maybe 2 more to go. Do you have any questions on recruitment? No. Kristen, no?
No. I can add through the chair, the timing of that is all so that we can meet a start date of June for new recruit training for our regional training center.
So you hope to have the other 2 hired before then, just?
Yeah.
So you have lots of applications?
We did, yes.
Good. Very good. E 4.2 under business arising, Plympton Shores Fire Agreement update. Let me go with that.
Oh, I'll take that, Mr. Chair. So over the last few weeks, I've been in discussions off and on with Plympton Shores CEO, back and forth about a number of items. One thing they did agree to is to obviously hold the current pricing until we've established an agreeable price, and then to retroactively place not retroactively, and start the new pricing after we come to an agreed terms. I've asked. They do not have a willingness to change their pricing. I said that I cannot be defending their pricing. That is their responsibility to defend it. If they feel that, they either need to come to council to do a presentation or send a detailed letter outlining the reasons why they have done what they've done, how they calculated it, etc. It seems that I encourage them to come to council. It'd be easier for them to answer questions face to face. And they are agreeable to doing that. But currently they are putting together the letter to come forward of that meeting. I also understand the mayor had a quick conversation with their mayor, and it was very similar in that nature. So we are trying to get them to adjust our pricing, or at least come to a negotiation table. At this time, they're holding fairly steady, but we are hoping to get them to appear before council to justify it, and then council can ask their questions directly of them why they've chosen to do what they've done. When they come to council, we'll have a staff report accompany that presentation. We are currently gathering a lot of the documents that happened in 2013-14 when we initially chose not to renew the contract, provided notice to the residents, and then due to the public outcry, drew that decision and entered into a new agreement. So we're trying to provide a much background information from the decisions from that period for council to see when they're discussing the matter.
Any comments on that?
So you said when? Through your Mr. Chair. So they're agreeable to come to council, or are they still?
They're agreeable, but no date has been set. I've asked them to provide the letter and confirm them of it that they're available for the 14th. But if they don't get back to me by Wednesday, that's not gonna happen. So I'm not holding my breath. It'll be the 14th. It could be later in May or June.
So if nothing gets resolved in that front, is the staff report going to provide other options?
Yes. We will again go through the history of it, but it will provide options. Realistically, there's the two options: either carry on,
3 options.
carry on, continue negotiation, but if you have an unwilling partner on the other side to do negotiation, there won't be much negotiating going on. Or the third option would be to take over it ourselves.
4 options.
It's the fourth one, man.
Well, not a very nice option, obviously. You directly bill that area affected as a special benefit.
Would be an option that council could consider. We could note that too, as council's wishes to build those specific houses for a special benefit for the cost of that firefighting service. That's something the council could absolutely consider.
Not a nice one, but going directly to we take over the service ourselves might not be viewed very favorably either from everything I've heard on the history. And the fact that visually that fire station's closer and timing wise, obviously it's closer. But we're still within provincial timelines, as I understand it, for a response. So having that full understanding of everything, I think is important to lay it out clearly.
Once we get all the background information and the information from Plympton Shores, the chief will work and I will work on finalizing that staff report.
Yeah, okay. Any comments from down there about that area out there? We went through this
Yeah.
big time, if you recall.
Yeah.
If I do recall correctly, we were able to negotiate the price of that down significantly.
Yeah.
What it originally was. And if I remember correctly, there was quite an outcry. I think this office chambers and the hallway and the front sidewalk were certainly full of people when we tried to tell them we're going to do that on our own. Did the time trials and all that at the time, and those all come out okay, my understanding at the time, that we were able to respond, but it did not go over with residents can look out their window and see the Forest Fire Hall.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
I don't think their opinion would have changed much since then, so.
Yeah.
But we're at a crossroads with the amount it's cost.
Also, I think one big factor that I was reminded of earlier today, a lot of those they notified their insurance company said they were either dropping fire protection from their property or they were increasing their rates notably too. So there's a lot of challenges associated with that.
How far would the Kamlaki Hall be from the farthest point there? The reason I'm asking the question, when I had a cottage, it was a big deal over 5 miles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're closer to 10 to 12, probably 12.
Yeah. So if you weren't within 5 miles, your insurance rates were quite high, so. Well, we'll let it play out, see where it ends up, but obviously we're trying to represent our constituents, you know, the best way we can with the best fire protection that we can. Okay, we'll just leave it at that and see where it goes from there. Okay. Item number 5 on the agenda tonight, accounts. Moved by Mary Atkinson, second by Kristen. Our exec committee receives and approves the payables for February 25 and March 25. Any questions, Gary?
Couple, Chair. First of all, back in February, as legal technical did a repair job at the bridge at the Wyoming station. This question, like we spent almost 3,000 on it. If memory serves correct, that's one of the big industrial just there, and they're considerably more new. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that is correct. However, at that same time, there was a problem with the boiler at the fire hall, and I believe that invoice actually includes the repair to the boiler. It was, if memory serves me correctly, it was quite expensive for the new board that it needed, and it's a new board, but there was a significant amount of labor with that. So that's,
This just wasn't totally the fridge, it was
I
other.
believe that is also in there, yeah. This is an ongoing issue. The problem with that didn't fix it, so we are back with Ainsworth. I'm told it was a defective part. Still, this repair.
So we'll probably see something more coming out of.
I'm hoping no more. If it's a defective part, it should be covered.
My second question, Mr. Chair, I see that we spent our February gas bill at Lackey Station was over $1,000 compared to the Wyoming station at $668. Was the door left open, or is that that's an older furnace that would be running, or why would that be substantially higher?
Really?
In March. You asked something.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Through the chair, I certainly don't have any explanation as to why that station is more gas. Gas. Jordan, if he has any.
I can't think of any reason why it would be there. For a call, the doors might be open for that 2 hours or something, and that's not going to pay that much.
I guess just my comment is it is rather high. And maybe we should monitor and make sure that it doesn't maintain that amount. If it is, then we have a problem there somewhere.
So could we look into that? For next time or?
I don't know what to look into though.
No, it would be too long to look.
Yeah.
I don't know it.
Yeah.
Well, it might be an explanation that we just don't know, so maybe we can find that out. Meeting.
Think maybe your next gas bill, you might see a significant difference too, that you no longer have the carbon tax. It'll make quite a difference in the gas. So that might drop it down significantly.
The February bill was 730.
And the last one is a comment about the town of Petrolia purchase of 42 chairs for the Comanche station. I'm sure they were very pleased to have them. So. Those other ones were pretty brutal.
Yeah, they're very comfortable.
Yeah, that's all I have.
That's all you have, sir. Kristen?
Or can we go back to the chairs? Where were they?
The last page, bottom of page 2. March 3rd.
March, March, it's 2 pages.
It's on the back. They were on paper.
Where do you think they're- Oh, well, the dark, they're really cheap. Okay. That's what I was checking. Perfect.
Turns out chairs are very expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
We did get quite a deal there.
yes, they do.
We thank our neighbors for that.
We did, yes. I personally thanked him.
I'm sure so.
I priced them out for Davidson there. Down in what, they 130 or something a piece.
Okay, yeah.
For just a standard with a little bit of padding on it.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Oh, okay. So February, if we can go back to the refrigeration repair. And you said a boiler was included, can you also go right down on that for next meeting, please? So we're clear on what expenses are going where. And is this refrigerator the big cooler fighter door?
I think, sorry, through the chair, I think I did look back at that invoice and it's not broke down. We got the labor portion of it. Didn't pay I think the board was close to $2,000 that was gone on that boiler.
On the
So,
boiler.
yeah,
Okay.
so I believe it was just the labor portion that was included there for the
Okay.
boiler and the fridge.
The fridge was very minor then.
The fridge was also a major repair, but not as major as it would appear there, I
Okay,
believe.
so the
But
total,
we can look at it.
the total bill is 2,884. If you're saying 2,000 alone is for the boiler. Board.
Well, we didn't get a new board. We got a used board, I think for free.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and we paid the labor to switch it out and put it.
Okay, so the labor portion, gotcha, okay. Great. The Lambton College apparatus with fire pump training. Just down from, still in February. 11 participants, so I'm glad to see that that is continuing at a good pace. So are we still on target there? With all the training?
Through the chair. So speaking of mandatory certification training, which this is part of what the invoice you're seeing there.
Mhm.
I still believe we are very much on target to reach compliance.
Okay, good. Good news. Like to see.
I'll have later on in the meeting, I'll have an update on what all has been going on as far as that training.
Okay. And then just below it, Lockhart Electric. Again. For $2,000. Special, see.
That's
The ceiling fan, then they also replaced ballast and lights on a number of the burnout lights at the Mackey station, so.
This is, oh, it says Wyoming.
Oh, well.
Did you replace one too?
yeah, whereabouts are you here?
Sorry, just below the. Is it-
Ainsworth, below on the same
Yeah.
page as the Ainsworth bill.
No, yeah, in Lambton College, 11 participants, so the next line down, Lockhart
That
Electric.
was the Mackey station, wasn't Wyoming.
Oh, it was at Kimler.
And that's
Probably for the April payables, though, we've had Lockhart Electric to Wyoming Station as well to change out 2 or 3 ballasts on lights that were burnt out and repair the conduit on the feeder that's supplying the building, but those were, I had called maybe 3 weeks ago about the building for that one, so we don't have that one. February bill or February invoice would be certainly at Lackey Station.
So if I may ask, the repairs to this boiler and fridge and these ceiling fans and ballasts, you know, at both stations, it's gonna happen. Where does that fall in the budget? Or do we have like for this kind of stuff?
I believe we have a line for building maintenance, but
Yeah.
I can't say exactly for sure.
kind of if we're staying on track there. These things gotta be fixed, I get it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, receiver general. Going down further. From where we were. 19 mobiles, oh. Is that, what is? What are you referring to with mobile?
These
Talking about
are
the radio thing?
Through the chair, these are radio licenses for all of our radios that we get automatically billed for.
So at first I was talking, in my head, I read it as vehicles, like. I'm like, how do we have? Okay. Now I get it. I'm 17 at Wyoming. Okay. And. You're going to a conference, or you did go to a conference recently,
I did.
and you're gonna tell us
I
about
have
that?
some information to share with you later in the meeting.
Okay. And then it's on that page. Go over to March. The first two items, the firefighting hoods and the multi-gas detectors, they're both are both items.
That's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And the mayor talked about that one. Heard electrical farther down, closer. Bottom. Washer and dryer outlets for extractors. I assume this is, I feel like Wyoming got theirs and Kamlaki's now getting.
That was just a, Lockhart was in last year. To do some stuff and getting prepared for it. And they had most of the wiring in to the back where the area was going. So it was a matter just from the junction box, they left to run the plugs for the washer, the extractors and the dryer that we have there, so.
Yeah, so it is Kamlaki.
Yeah.
So through the chair, that all is part of the project through the grant money we got, the fire protection grant, where we installed the 2 new extractors in Kimlaki and just had to bring receptacles down to plug it.
I just didn't know which one we were talking about. And then we have Ministry of Finance, last line on that page, Ontario Fire College, new program registration fees. So again, that has to do with our training.
Through the chair, that's every time
Oh,
we have someone registered for a course where the Ontario Fire College gives them a certificate,
Yeah.
they automatically bill us a $65 fee for every registrant. And it's not broke out,
Yeah.
it doesn't tell us who, just how many.
no,
It's a
that's,
little hard to follow.
yeah, okay, no problem. And, the next page of March. First line, plumbing materials to install triple compartment sink and set up for extractors, so as part of that whole thing again. And then the extractors being delivered and installed, so it's all done.
All done, other than I think we're still waiting on a tap. But
Yeah.
so just a tap where that.
So, and just one more note, between February and March, in February, we have 13, get some names of firefighters.
Seen that.
In March, we did. So, okay, all right, you caught it, so that's all good. And that would be it.
That's it. Anybody else have any questions on the payables? Okay, all in favor of that? I already read the motion. Favor of the payable. Gary, thank you. Okay, item number 6, no staff reports. This time bylaws, no bylaws at the time. Correspondence at this time. Number 9, correspondence recommended reading and routine approval. 9.1 there, that was just a policy that's a condolences and congratulation policy that's certainly being handed to every committee in the council for reading material, just so we all know what happens if there's somebody passes away or whatever. That's our policy now. Condolence policy. At 9.2 there, the quarterly report. Comments on that? Yes.
If I may go back to that one, just for clarification, you can do anything you want personally. This is more of on behalf of the town.
Yes. Yes, this is what the town as a corporation does.
It doesn't negate you from being able to do something personal.
Nobody, Keegan is getting married and staff undertook a fund and bought a gift on from staff to.
Congratulations to Keenan. All right, sorry.
Okay, yes, quarterly report.
Through the chair, before we move on to quarterly report, I just want to comment on the condolences and congratulations policy. It was very well received by the fire department. Anybody that has had anything go out to them has been very appreciative of it and wanted me to extend their thank you to the town.
Okay. No, just talk about that a little bit though, like the fire department has their own system of recognition. Service. And especially awards, long-term, whatever.
Years of service.
Yeah, that's all.
Federal or provincial.
Yeah. That's your own policy that you.
Yeah, and it's federal or provincial. So we just submit on behalf of.
Right.
our members.
Recognition, yeah, for both feds and provincial. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. That's good to hear that feedback. Okay, anything else? No, anything else on that?
Quarterly report, I don't know what that is.
We asked for a quarterly report for.
But there's nothing.
Yeah, I can, through the chair, I can give you a verbal on the quarterly report.
Didn't you ask for?
I did ask for it to be put on the agendas, but it didn't get put on the agenda, so.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, because it's not ready.
Okay.
So I want to give you a verbal though,
Okay.
to tell you, to show you the direction it's going and what you will get with this quarterly report. We're now aiming for next meeting. But and maybe there's some other things you'd like added, but I'd like you to get, now that we have,
Starting.
broke it down and started, yeah. So what it does is it follows NFPA 1720, which is the standard for the organization and deployment of fire suppression operations for volunteer fire departments. So there's a separate standard for career departments. So in that standard, there's a bunch of requirements, and I'll go through the basics of them. And then we've added a little bit to some of the things we've talked about in the past that this committee would like to have feedback on. I've added those points in there too. So I think this is valuable in case there's something we're missing that we agree on wanting more. So number of calls for service will be included. Number of single station calls, number of 2 station calls. Calls by type, so the type of response.
Mhm.
Number of calls by station, so that we can differentiate and report on what each station is doing. And then average shoot times for the whole department.
Right.
So a shoot time is the time from when the call comes into dispatch and when we get a truck rolling out of the station. When we talk about things like response times and how many kilometers it is to certain areas, like maybe where we have fire protection agreements and such, there's a whole other side of that equation, being not just how long it takes you to get from the station to the call, how long does it take you to get from when the call's dispatched to the firefighters responding to the hall to leaving. So there we will now start to collect data on the shoot, what we would call the shoot time. And that helps us when we plan for station relocations. It helps us when we hire firefighters. There's some pretty valuable data there. We'll do average shoot times per station as well. Average number of staff responding to calls for the whole department. Average number per station. And then as a major requirement for NFPA 1720, we need to identify the number of members that we have on scene in 14 minutes. And standard in a rural area requires us to have 6 people on scene within 14 minutes. So that's from the time the page goes out. So that's including your shoot time and your response time. But that's only for structure fires. So we'll have to, and this was the problem when we tried to, Nicole and I were trying to figure out, first of all, what data we wanted on the report, and then how to get it out of our current RMS records management system. It's not there yet. So we'll get it there, and then it'll be, I would say, like a cookie cutter, but it'll be constant, right? It'll be the same data, so it's comparable quarter to quarter, yearly, and so on. Then for all fires, we'll have a time, it's an initial attack time. So that's another NFPA 1720 driven number that we want to make sure we look at. Other than that, we're looking at daytime versus nighttime staff responding. We're going to include our training topics, which I have a rundown for you tonight. And sort of more into the fire prevention realm, we want to look at and give you data on the number of public education requests, the number of inspection requests, number of plans review requests, number of code complaints, fire code complaints, the number of open air burn permits that we have, and the number of fires by cause. So once they've been investigated and we find out what the actual cause of the fire is, so we'll provide some data on that. So lots of points in there to try to pull out of our RMS.
So do you have to make like a? So do you have to make a special template? Put together these stats from the software? Is that how that works?
We do. That's through the chair. That's a good way to look at it. But we have to, it's sort of a garbage in, garbage out system. If I may, it all depends on how you input your information. Like you almost want to know what you want to get out of it before you start to input it. We've had
Front loading.
information inputted over the last couple of years in various forms. So we will want to start to make sure that that gets exactly, so it's beneficial to us on the output side. So that's what Nicole and I are working on with our vendor for that RMS.
You want to front load it and make sure there's consistency.
Yeah, we want something you can compare quarter to quarter, year to year. That's, always the same and comparable. So that's a bit of a rundown of that quarterly report. I would be more than happy to discuss other things if the committee feels there's other things that something's missing out of there. But that's what I felt was hitting the standard and then hitting our other main fire prevention points.
Do you use Fire Pro at all for getting some of that information?
It will all be Fire Pro.
All Fire Pro.
Yeah, so that's and it's a complex program, and it's had lots of people inputting information in the past, and you can do it different ways. So that becomes an issue when you're trying to get that information out of it.
The reason I ask you that question, because there was some talk about getting rid of that Fire Pro, that it was useless and not being used, and so you're going to put her to use.
We're trying. We've had Fire Pro for a long time, remember in the nineties when we got it. I believe, yeah, 90s. And it's definitely our most cost-effective way to move forward. So if we can make it work, we're gonna make it work. So been a lot of people switching to another vendor
Yeah.
very lately. So it may come down to that, but we're gonna give it a try before we come to any recommendations to switch anything.
Sounds good, yes, Chris.
So I remember back in the beginning of the conversations and I did look up Fire Pro, trying to learn all the ins and outs and they did have a new version. They were still very new. I thought it just added a fetching to it when you update things like Fire Pro 365 or something like that. Where they made it more online friendly, I guess, because I guess this is currently being housed at the county. And we didn't really like it there, so.
Has to go through the chair, has to go through the server. Makes it a little cumbersome. It slows it down a bit, especially in my office. It makes it pretty slow. So what I've heard they're going to be switching to is a web-based version of FirePro.
Maybe that was it.
And if that's the case, it will make the program a lot more viable.
And I thought they already did have it, when I looked at it.
Not yet.
It's a US version that has the. Canadian side is. Gotta be housed somewhere on a computer.
Exactly.
So with that with a true web-based anyways, software, you could do things live. You could be at an inspection, for example, and upload things right to it, as opposed to basically waiting till you got back. And if there was controversy between, inspectors, for example, there might be issues, but
Mhm.
we're not that. So hopefully we can just make this work. And
everything you said, excellent. So you definitely were hearing.
And what the intention is to do a quarterly report. And then this is also driven through NFPA 1720. It doesn't call for a quarterly, but I think that's a benefit to our council. So we get a quarterly. NFPA 1720 calls for an annual. So we'll do an annual, and then it calls for another report every 4 years. So we would take that 4 years and say, okay, here's where we're meeting or not meeting our benchmarks or the standard, and come back to council and say, here's where we could put more funding into, or maybe we need to grow certain areas of the department and then drive the budget that way.
Totally agree, because we are a growing municipality, not a shrinking one, so.
Okay. New business. Mayor,
I have nothing at this time, Mr. Chair.
Scotty, you have anything? Chris, you have anything tonight? Christian? Any new business? Will?
I do. I have a couple of items through the chair. I have some notes that I can go over with you with the committee from the OAFC conference that I attended, conference and trade show that I attended last week. I'd like to go over a few of those that might spark some questions. And I also have a report, as I said I would, on some of our training initiatives from this first quarter, which will ultimately come in that quarterly report. Does it matter to you which way I start? Which one I start with?
You go right ahead.
Okay, I'll start with the OAFC notes then. So we had an update from the OFM. As of April the 22nd, there have been 52 fatalities and 42 fatal fires. So their message was, we need to figure this out. This is not acceptable. The way we're doing things provincially is not working. So we're on the right track to be into our worst year for fatal fires. So there needs to be some new initiatives, some new ways to reach people. So that message was loud and clear. Some, what they called active and emerging issues there, were lithium ion batteries, wildland fire and urban interface, urban flooding, active attacker events, volunteer firefighter recruitment and retention, short-term rentals like Airbnb type rentals, the cost escalations, so inflation and tariffs, modern fire science, tiered response, third-party trainers, and rapid population and building growth. So those were the ones they highlighted as their emerging and active issues. And then they went on and talked about a bunch of items that were being updated, and there's a long list, but of probably most important to us is the standard incident report system, which has not really been changed a lot in the last 30 years. It's due for a revamp. So what they're finding is the data they're collecting isn't necessarily driving public education as it should to avoid some of these fires and incidents. And then we're getting a new fire code, so that's also an update. The association, the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, did make the official announcement that we're moving from what would be 5 conferences per year to 4. So doing away with one being the one I was just at. That'll be the last time that they have that conference and trade show in Toronto, mostly because of pricing and budgetary restraints. So we'll be down to 4. And we had talk about the Ministry of Labor. So the OFM updated about the Ministry of Labor and what they're looking for when we have an incident. So they gave us some insight as to the kinds of things that the Ministry of Labor are going to want to see. It's like you might as well get them ready now in case you have a problem. That fair warning, basically. And then we had an address from Premier Ford to all of the attendees, and although he didn't announce any funding, he led us to believe there's funding on the horizon similar to the fire protection grant that we have been involved with twice now. So that was that sounded all positive. We'll see in the future.
Well, on that, before we move on to next. So that was going to be my question, with all these not meeting targets, or on target for the worst year, fires. How do we reinvent public education? I find this is a problem even with the OPP when it comes to impaired driving. Just no matter what you do, the message is just not, it's like futile almost. Is what kind of funding comes along with that, because smaller rural municipalities just don't have.
And that's a really good point. Maybe that the funding will be directed at public education. It hasn't in the past. They get the Enbridge grant for smoke alarms, and the Public Fire Safety Council, that partnership. But other than that, they have been leaning towards things like cancer prevention, more on the fire side of it. So yeah, hopefully they do, but I mean, any of it, realistically, any of it, we will be getting and trying to move forward with as much as we can.
Gary, any comments on that?
No, I'm looking, it was a good report, and I really appreciate the update. Thank you, Chief.
Well, I also think that's really a good report, and certainly a couple items in there when you talk about communication and education. Lithium batteries used almost on a daily basis, where you're hearing fire maybe not a fatality, certainly fires caused by these batteries. And so it's like that's a big article. And no, I hate to say it, but we've been dealing with water in our sewage system, excess water and too much. And we've had to get pretty serious about after, the areas that are getting that water into these closed systems. And I'm thinking the same for fire, that we do a good job, but on the other hand, we're pretty good. We don't, we try to educate, communicate, but we talked this for years and years on end, but I think maybe they're gonna have to get a little tougher on some of this stuff. Because when you hear, whatever caused a fire in whatever building, lots of times no smoke detectors, stuff like that. It just shouldn't be. I mean, as firefighters yourselves, that's gotta make you sick to your stomach when you go in and something's happened, and then you find out all the alarms have been removed. I think maybe things are gonna have to tighten up a bit throughout the country, so. Other than that, that was an excellent report, and obviously the building growth. I mean, just look at it here. In the different areas that you guys, just since I've been on the council, oh my goodness. Hundreds of more homes and different areas, so. Yeah, anyway, that's a great report, thank you.
And also through the chair, we've had a lithium ion battery fire of our own. We got to see what it was like. Our firefighters reported back that it was the hottest fire they've ever been in. They felt like they was burning them through their gear. So this is real stuff. If we're seeing it in, small town Ontario, it's good that Office of the Fire Marshal's looking into it. We've also seen our fair share of non-compliance. The message just isn't getting out there to the public about smoke alarms and what the real life-saving capability of them.
Okay,
Can I move on to my training report?
yes, sir.
Okay, so a few topics I'll go over first. In the first quarter of our training schedule, our in-house training, what we call our regular training. We started with PPE, SCBA, and equipment checks, so their own bunker gear and their SCBA. So that's the way we usually start January out. And the same this year. Then we did CPR, AED recertifications and certifications. We did incident command scenarios. We had first aid medical type scenarios in another training session. And these are all consistent, with the topic always starts on the Tuesday night in Kamlaki, and then the following Wednesday, whichever Wyoming's training night falls on, whether it be the same week, it's usually the next week, but those two topics always line up so that our members can attend at their own station, or they could, if they have to work or have another commitment, they have the option to attend at the other station. Then we did pre-planning. We looked at a couple of targeted locations within the geographical districts of both stations, and pre-planned two properties, and pre-planning and tactical planning. If we do get a fire there, we'll some plans made already. And then the last training in March was a guest speaker from Enbridge that talked to us about CO and natural gas leaks. We also had what we call custom training, or what I call custom training. And that included, in February, we had 13 members start an NFPA 470 hazmat operations training course. And the course was taught in-house. So it was a learning contract through the OFM. So we taught it in-house. I led it. And we had those 13 members finish that, and that's towards their mandatory certification. Then also in February, we had 8 members complete their NFPA 1021. So these are our fire officers. So that's fire officer 1. They completed that. And in March, we had 12 members complete their NFPA 1002. That's the one you looked at in the accounts. That's the pump operator course. There's 12 members there. And then in April, we had 8 members start their NFPA 1001 firefighter 2 course, and that's also a learning contract that I'll lead in-house. Just as an example, I haven't really talked about how long and how onerous these courses are. This one that they've just started, it's a 56-hour in-class course, but it starts with an online. So some of them will spend 30, 40 hours online before they get into the 56 hours of in-class to complete the course. And like I said, it just started in April and it will finish June 21st. So it's quite a commitment by our members, but that's what'll get us to certification. These are sort of our last ones to get through. And so pretty good shape there. That's the training. Yeah, there's been a lot going on.
I've been certainly watching every weekend, the cars at the halls, in Blackie and Wyoming, and I'm assuming they're training on done training on the ladder truck, the new ladder truck.
Well, I can't say that we're gonna be done, but we have been doing. And District Chief Freer just brought up a good point. It was kind of coupled with the ladder. We had an opportunity to participate in they call the MLFTU through the OFM, through the Fire Marshal's office. So it's a mobile live fire training unit. It's like a tractor trailer box van, and it inside of it has propane fired props. So they go into it with a hose line and they can light up fires in various areas and they fight the fire. So I think that it was very well received.
Yeah.
It was different than the burn tower at the Plympton
Yeah.
Fire College there.
We ran 13 of our firefighters through there.
Wow.
And from, they worked together, both stations worked together. We had the ladder there as our supply pumper. So yeah, it was good.
Good, Christian, you had a question?
Oh, yes. I wanted to mention, and I don't know how possible it is, you sound so busy. But I know we've talked in the past about making sure you're involved in planning. And I just don't know how active. I just want to make sure, public record, that we are sure we're also doing those.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm, as far as I know, all of the planning items are coming across my desk now.
So do you find they're taking up all the?
I find they take up a considerable amount of time, yes. It is, but it's a way for us to move forward.
So just to follow up on that, you were the training officer before you came the chief, right?
Yes.
We had basically council approved a separate position. Is that not going to happen anymore? Like you're doing most of it.
So all of the regular training, for the most part, is being done by our 2 training captains.
Yeah.
Some of the learning contracts, the 2 learning contracts that we did are ones that I had applied for prior to taking on this new role. And we don't have anyone that can deliver them, that's approved to deliver them. So I'll finish that out. And my plan going forward is that we need to have some succession planning and we need to get people in key roles it's not, that piece of it is not sustainable, but we'll be through it. So it'll no doubt get better, but there needs to be some structuring there.
Okay. Anything else from anybody in new business? There isn't, emergency management, what is it, next week?
I believe.
I think where is it gonna be? Is it gonna be at Lambton College? This time, not at the arena, right?
Yes, I believe
I
so.
think it's next week.
It's a 10th,
Yeah, 10th, yeah.
it's coming Saturday.
Next week, yeah, that's a big event of any.
Yeah, Saturday.
Have you ever been to that, Kristen? It's a good event to go to.
Is it? Are you going, Bob?
Oh, next
It's this Saturday.
Mother's Day. Oh, this Saturday. I'm not sure. I usually go. May not, I'm not sure.
Don't put him on the spot, he's gotta check.
Exactly, gotta ask.
I'll
I gotta ask permission, you know. Probably health and safety committees, how are we doing there?
Yeah, so a brief update on our health and safety committees. I'm pretty happy to report we are really moving in a structured format forward. Nicole's done a lot of work on it to help us with that. She's the drill sergeant. And we have regular meetings that it helps when she schedules them and keeps some people on track, including myself. And we have our boards updated. There's a couple of items that will get straightened around still, but our boards are updated. Meetings are happening, our inspections are happening and getting updated on the board. So the committees are all established. Terms of references for the committees are finished. So yeah, the biggest outstanding item will be some people's training, I believe. Just
Certification?
Yeah, so part two, we have a few people, few of our officers, our management reps to get their part two. So until that happens, I'll sit on the committee as the management rep as a certified part two. But again, something else that will drop off of my portfolio.
And as in the past, we would respectfully request that those minutes be attached to the mayor committee. That's policy we set up a while ago, so then everything kind of fell apart, and so we'd ask those minutes.
Is that a town policy? All the
No,
committees?
That's going back when we had a lot of problems, and a lot of these issues weren't being fixed or resolved, so the firefighters themselves, that was on their list, if you recall, Mr. Mayor. That we make sure that the committee reviews the health and safety committee minutes to find out what the issues are, because they weren't being apparently being listened to, so.
Yeah, I would say that's not a normal process. Start with. We certainly don't have anything to hide, and we can provide that, but all of those things should be dealt with by the time they make it through this process of an executive committee meeting. They should be dealt with long before that.
Absolutely.
We're not.
So it's something that was committee had directed. Is that how that worked?
To have the minutes attached here, yeah, you put them on the
Not
bulletin.
normal, but it's something that they or be to.
Yeah, not something that I've seen in the past, and obviously not something that our other town committees do.
It arose out of your previous working list.
Yeah, the working document, that's what.
Yeah, so they're posted on the boards now for
Yeah, they
for
put it.
review as provincially mandated.
Yeah. Like I said, I would request that you attach those minutes to the fire board. I mean, if you committee is in agreement with that or not?
Yeah, I think as it came out of the request from the firefighters before,
Yeah.
I know you're back on track. Just for a while, we can make sure everything's.
Other than that, no, I think that was it. That's all I have, so if there isn't anything else. Moved by Christie Rodriguez, second by Gary Atkinson. Fire Exec Committee adjourned until June 2nd, 2020. Yes, sir.
Sure, I just, I have to be in Ottawa that day. In consideration of moving the meeting that,
Definitely. Well,
I'm sorry to, at the last minute, but
no, that's you going to the week or
no, I could be back, Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday we have fire, or Monday we have fire. I'm back on the 4th.
anybody available for the 4th on the Wednesday? You be available that night, Gary?
Yeah, I might be tired, but I'll be.
through the chair, June 4th.
Yeah.
I have, that is one of our nights we have scheduled for, training. With the. Firefighter 2 trainings. Certification
What
training.
about Thursday night?
What about the following Monday?
Thursday night's free. Following Monday.
Thursday night, we got environmental committee here on the 5th.
At 5 o'clock, yeah. The next week I'm open, 9th.
9th.
I don't have anything
Open the 9th.
on the
You
9th.
know what? I have no idea, but it sounds good. I have so many different, I'm pretty sure Monday night would be fine.
Everybody's okay with the 9th? We can go with that, and then if there's a problem, let Nicole know and we will change it again, so 9th.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very flexible on this committee. Okay, is there anything else?
Retired ones.
All in favor of adjourning the meeting? Gary, thank you.